Hey everyone, I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Today we are going to be playing with our art supplies. Mainly I'm going to be using colored pencils and some watercolor paints. These are the Kuratake watercolor paints. I don't normally use these, but I thought why not? Let's just play with them today. The goal is doodling. We're just going to doodle and play and have fun and see what we can create. Of course, I have a book for inspiration that I got at the bookstore, secondhand bookstore, of course, and we are going to flip through it, be inspired because there's some really fun art in here. Be inspired and then just create, and I hope you draw along or paint along with me. So let's jump in. The art supplies that I'm using, as I mentioned, are these Kuratake watercolor paints, but you can use any art. You can use gouache, you can use watercolor. It's just, these are one of the art supplies I talked about in one of my videos, which is the art supplies I regretted buying. And I just thought maybe I'll give them another try and see what I can do with them. They're very similar, in my opinion, to basic watercolor, general watercolor, but maybe a little more creamy texture. So let's see what we can do with these. I'm going to be using my Faber-Castell colored pencils. You can use any that you have. It looks like I have a pen in here and a pencil. Maybe I'll use those. This is called the Big Book of Contemporary Illustration. And I went to, it's funny because I was going to go to a coffee shop and do some drawing there. But when I got there, there was so much construction that the road was closed and I just thought, forget it. And across the street was the secondhand bookstore. And normally they don't have good books for art. And they always say that. They always say that they don't have a big selection of art books. It doesn't come in very often because it's like an exchange where you exchange your books. Anyway, found this one. This is so great. But there was, oh my gosh, look at this. I like the messy art. I like this messy, playful art. This is watercolor airbrush. This is gouache. I really like that it tells you what art supplies they use. This is a huge book to go through and I'm never going to get bored. Wow, look at these birds. It's really funny. I found this whole section on cats. And didn't I do a video 2 days ago on cats in the art world? These are so cute. This is the kind of thing. I just want to do something similar to these cartoony type artworks and play around. So that's what I'm going to do today, especially if I'm using watercolor. It's going to be really playful, and that's the focus. Playful animals, that's going to be the theme for today. I think the first one I want to do is maybe a poodle, because as you know, I have a poodle, and the goal is to not worry about perfection and not get caught up in the details. So I'm just trying to do something loose and get those ears in, and I'm going to paint this. So I'm using a really light pencil. Don't even know if you could see it. Maybe I should use a pen. Hold on. I really prefer at this point to be using pencils because I don't want things to smudge, but I know that when I'm doing a video, it's really, you can't see it. Okay, so I'm just doing a really loose sketch of a poodle. Now my poodle is Charlie is very small. He is not a big poodle, so this is like a big poodle. And I'm keeping it really loose. There's his little, or her little feet, and she's going to be on a chair. That's supposed to be a chair, but we're going to paint it. She's fancy. This is one of those fancy chairs. And remember, if you're just drawing loosely, this is not about perfection. This is about having fun and playing with your art supplies. And I am definitely playing with my art supplies. So I have the poodle. And I've got my colors. I think it's going to be, I'm going to get some water, a pink poodle. My goal when I get books is not to copy what I see in a book, but to be inspired by all the colors and drawings that people do. And that's why I showed you this book earlier. And I wanted to keep it more of an illustrative type thing versus, you know, some traditional painting. So I'm going to grab, I don't have pink, so can I mix pink? There's white here and red. Let's see if I can mix a pink up. Oh, there is kind of a pink if I look at it. Let's see. No, that's not it. Oh, I think I found a pinkish color. And I'll just add some white to it. And we'll see how this Kuratake works. And I'm using just, it is a watercolor paper, and I'm keeping it loose. I don't want to layer on too much color. Not at first anyway. Oh, whoops, I think that was the arm. This is the legs of the dog. Okay, probably a little too much water. And I think that's one of the reasons I said I don't use the Kuratake too much, but probably should try less water. I do like that the ink that I use to draw this with is not smudging. And sometimes when you only have a certain amount of time to sketch or draw or paint or whatever, you don't have time to worry about being perfect. But I'm kind of liking that. And I have my colored pencils. What do I want to do in the background? I think I want there to be some greenery, like maybe some plants, but I'm going to keep it loose. Like if you had a potted plant. Let's see. Now, if this was bigger, I'd probably put a cat right there, trying to get on with the dog, get on the chair, snuggle in. Okay, I feel like that looks all right. I'd like to have some pots there, some like burgundy type pots. Let's see, maybe brown. And again, I'm going to wait for this to dry, and then I'm going to color over it with some color pencils and get the details in. You can see the paper is sort of warped a little bit because of the water that I put on it, even though this is supposed to be watercolor pen colored pencil. Maybe when it dries, it'll be less warped. We'll see. We will finish this one off for sure. What I like to do actually is usually work on a whole bunch of different ones at the same time, but we're going to come back to that when it dries. Can I put a cat on a chair? Let's see. Let's see if we can draw that. The goal, if you're doing like this, is an illustrative type thing, so I'm not even worried about, you know, making a realistic cat. I just want to make a cute cat. And should I have the tail? I probably don't have this chair done properly because he's so far down, but we're going to do it anyway. This is going to be the chair that this kitty's on. Fancy chair. Fancy legs. Now we can sort of see that chair coming to life. And it's going to be one of those fancy chairs. But I want it to have arms on it as well, but we'll do the little, you know, where they have buttons too. And maybe it won't. Maybe it'll just be a chair without arms. And this will also have some plants, but I'm going to try to make these plants like flowers, giant flowers, compared to the size of the chair. One of the things I talked about the other day too, like sometimes there's just not enough time in the day for art or for drawing. So if you could do it really quickly, it makes it a lot easier. Now I'm going to try a smaller paintbrush because maybe I just had too much water on the previous one. I'll use pink again. Now I'm going to map in or color. And I'm trying not to use too much water for this particular paper. And I'm mixing just some pink and red together. Now, I'm not being delicate with this paint. I'm not a fan of this paint, and I'm sure at some point I will be. I'm just not sure when. I'm just going to put in some greenery here, and then make these maybe a reddish, I don't know, is this supposed to be pink? We'll see. We're going to get the colored pencils in and maybe a few other art supplies to sort of bring this together. And this will be like a gold. So I'm going to make, ooh, this is kind of a goldish color. We'll see. It's yellow. I like it. I could see maybe this paint would be good, in my opinion, if I was like traveling. Probably easy to pack, easy to bring with you. I like that it's creamy, but honestly, sometimes I'm a really big fan of gouache. So if I'm a really big fan of gouache, it's definitely just my preference. But if you buy art supplies, you should use them. Okay, and you know, I didn't put the legs in this one. Will this one have yellow legs too, maybe? That color that I said was like gold, but it's more like a yellow. Why not? It doesn't look too bad. We're definitely going to add more color to this guy. I think 2 is enough for today. I'm going to wait for these to dry and then we're going to color them in. A lot of times it's just about playing around. These are my final drawings. I didn't add the colored pencil like I thought I would. I used gouache instead to add a little bit of shadow. But again, with the lack of time to draw and paint, I work very quickly and you have to accept what comes, whether you like it or not. I love this one so much more than this one. I'm not really sure I like how this poodle turned out or the chair legs. I did end up adding the kitty. But the good thing about quick sketches is that you can save them. So what I'm going to do is save these. And when I'm ready to draw them some more, I'm going to practice in my teeny tiny sketchbooks, some of these. Especially, like I really love this one. I definitely think some gold and sparkles could do. I feel like the cat turned out pretty good. But again, it's practice, 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 finding inspiration like I did in this book, playing with art supplies. I just wanted to remind you that I do have a Patreon. I will leave a link in the description because I'm going to start posting there. I also have some ebooks on drawing cats, which I'm actually going to include in the description. So if you're looking for some ebooks on how to draw cats, let me know. And if you have any book recommendations, like this one that has a whole bunch of illustrations that you can sort of be inspired by, please leave a comment. Thanks so much, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful day and happy sketching.